Hello there, friend. So this week we have a snow day and I couldn't make it into the office. So I'm speaking to you from our sunroom. Um, and I wanted to talk with you this week about the teacher survey results that we just published. And so if you haven't downloaded it yet, feel free to do so in the link in this week's newsletter. And definitely take a minute to go through the results. I think they're really eye-opening, quite honestly. Some things that I thought were going to come out didn't, and some things that I was not aware of actually came out very strongly. And so a couple of those things, again, it's an interest to me to kind of see where teachers are, where our thinking is. And I think one of the things that surveys don't do enough is provide opportunities for teachers to share in their own voice their concerns and their celebrations. And so that's one of the things that we did in the survey, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second because that was really eye-opening for me as well. As a quick background, we surveyed about 5,000 teachers. They took our survey, and we had a wide range. So everybody from K through, or pre-K actually, through higher ed took the survey. We had a majority, and I say a majority, slight majority, like a little bit over 50% elementary educators, but I think that's reflective of educators in general in our country and where we are. And then we had middle school, high school, and higher ed come in as well. And we also had a nice mix of both general education teachers and arts teachers, which again, I think is something that we don't see enough of. We don't see the backgrounds of the teachers that we're surveying so that we get their unique perspectives about this. Now, that said, I'm not going to go through each portion of the survey with you. I just kind of want to share a couple of highlights for me that were substantial, I think, in my mind. First of all, I don't think teachers in general feel seen, heard, or valued. And we talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago in my previous video, but this is something we don't talk about nearly enough in education, is that teachers don't feel like they are seen, heard, or valued. And I think valued is the big one, right? Seen in terms of really administrators, parents, community members, everybody else in the community, seeing who they are and what they do. And the fact that for many of us, this is not a job. This is something that we are. We are teachers. And so when you don't feel seen as a teacher, you feel invisible, that's hurtful. Particularly for arts educators. Arts educators often feel like they are left behind in a building, as if others do not see them as a teacher or the work that they're doing. When we say that they don't feel heard, that means that teachers are feeling as though even if they voice an opinion, it doesn't matter. It's like they're talking to the wind, right? And something that was really interesting that popped up for me was that in the survey we asked, do you feel supported by your supervisor or administration? And overwhelmingly, people said yes, okay? Like almost 80% said yes. But when we dug into the data at the bottom and we asked teachers, what would help you stay in education longer? By far, we had a majority of people say that if their administration would be more supportive of them. So which one is it, right? Well, here's where it gets interesting. We did not specify in the first question who the supervisor or administrator is. So for some of you, it may be principal, but for some others, it might be their music supervisor, their art supervisor, if they're an administrator, their superintendent. It could be a variety of people who are they're considering their supervisor, right? And so when you dig into that data about administration being supportive, you also have to look at the context of that, because in the context of that, they were people who responded to that question and saying that it's more supportive administration. They were talking about things like supporting teachers in classroom management policies, in providing adequate professional development, in providing adequate resources and materials. So support can kind of go both ways, right? But when we say that teachers don't feel heard, it's that teachers are voicing these things. I need these things. and in order to be successful in helping our students, and they're not feeling as though people are hearing that, or if they are hearing that, that they're just dismissive of it, which leads to not feeling valued. And I think this is the key element of teacher burnout, teacher disillusionment, why so many teachers are leaving the profession. Early, late, it doesn't matter. Why so many of us feel like we are dead on arrival when we come into the holiday season. Like we go from 0 to 100 from September to December. And then by January, there's literally nothing left in our tank. And it's because we don't feel valued, okay? We don't feel as though the community values us as professionals, or our supervisors or administrators value the fact that we need certain things, right? And maybe it's not the things that they want or that they are being told to provide for us as educators. Because let's be honest, administrators have bosses too, right? And so we have to understand the whole fabric of this. And I will guarantee you 100% of the time that sometimes your administrators don't feel valued either. And I know if you're an administrator watching this, you will hear that as well. So what do we do about it, right? That's the big thing. When you look at this survey, is it all doom and gloom? No. One of the big things that popped out to me was that when we took a look at that question, what would make you stay longer in education? First of all, 41% of respondents said that they're going to stay in education as long as they possibly can. That's amazing, because that means that their why, their driving force inside of them is stronger than this whole idea that we're not being valued. That's amazing. Also, while a vast majority of people said that something that would make them stay longer is higher pay, they weren't necessarily talking about pay money-wise. Yes, some people were talking about money. Let's be real. That we didn't get into this profession to become rich, right? But people were also very much specifying materials for their classrooms, things that they need in order for students to be successful, food for students who come in and don't have any, and teachers are shelling for that out of pocket. Those kinds of things are also in the money category. These kinds of components were really eye-opening in that teachers want to be there because, as I said, that's who we are. Right? So even if we're not being seen, and even if we feel like we're not being heard or valued, we still want to be here. So what's next? How do we overcome those challenges? I think by having a network of support. I think in 2019 and beyond, the idea of having a community is going to be even more important than it is right now. And having a community can look a lot of different ways. I know for us and for what we see in schools all across the country and the world, the idea of having a network of people where you can go to in trust and confidence and say, here's what I'm struggling with, and have them not judge you, but instead give you valuable support and ideas, empathy, I think are so important. I think every single educator should read Brené Brown, the idea of how to be empathetic with others and with yourself. I think our own standards as educators, they are so high, and as they should be, right? But they're almost unrealistically high. So we need to be able to take care of ourselves as well. And I think the community helps you do that. So, I just kind of wanted to share those insights with you based on that survey. Definitely take a look at it. I think it's going to be really valuable, and share it. Share it with your administrators, with other colleagues. Talk about it. Use it as a way to jumpstart a conversation about, does this represent our building? Is this reflective of who we are as a team here? And what can we do about it? And if it's not reflective, what's different? And how can we replicate some of those celebrations that may be different from what's reflected here in a larger scale? So I hope that was helpful for you. I really enjoy having these conversations with you on this bi-weekly kind of broadcast, and I look forward to our next one in February. Bye for now.